Sylvania Academy was so vast that its organizational structure was extremely complicated. However, as usual with organizations, the higher you go, the simpler the things you become. While the organization chart spread out before your eyes can be like a spider web, if you separate and just look at the top, it cannot be simpler. McDowell, who holds the position of Magic Department of Sylvania School and holds the highest position among the three heads of the department, belongs to that simple segment of the chart. Going down from the top, his name appeared at the second junction. He was right after the vice principal. Academic staff have not started the expulsion process for you. Yes, they must have decided that it is not necessary. McDowell, with a dense beard and an old one-eyed glasses, seemingly comfortable, but his attitude towards me is completely opposite. I didn't even bring a cup of tea, but the chief secretary poured me. Obviously the unfriendly atmosphere. Why does it take the effort to learn the academic regulations to chase you through a disciplinary committee according to the regulations and follow those procedures to chase you out? The head of the department sitting opposite me said with a serious face. It was surprising that this authority was only the surface of Dean McDowell. He acted in an authoritarian way to hide his gentle and kind nature. You will not know this unless you perform subtasks, but after experiencing many difficulties and completing many different ideas plays, this is not too surprising for me. In order to be the head of the department in a place like the Faculty of Magic, where many eccentric people are gathered, one cannot avoid having to keep the scary attitude. The political arena of the academic world is full of people who will surpass you if you are weak. It is praiseworthy that he still retains his personality. If that way is not effective, I will proceed to deport through administrative authority. That is why I was completely confused. There are two reasons why this meeting was confused. First, as mentioned earlier, why did McDowell Dean, who often avoided confrontation with students, did such a threatening behavior? The second is his position. As the principal of the Faculty of Magic of Sylvania and the highest position of the three heads of the department, he did not need to care about chasing each student or the process of chasing school. Instead, he is the audience reviewing and approving the implementation plans. Each position has the corresponding task. It is strange for a student to be called to the office to discuss being uncommon, like going to the local government office to ask for a copy of the household registration book and seeing the mayor attending public services. Do you have anything to say to protect me? Usually, a normal student will not think so far. They will panic because of being summoned by a senior official and announcing that they were expelled from school. After pondering about this, the intention to return should be clear to me. His original intention was to confuse me. You give a right point of view. So I decided to answer like that before thinking a little more. A luxurious and magnificent reception room, an unexpected call between an official ceremony such as the opening ceremony, a meeting with a person with a high position dressed in a beautiful dress, an aggressive and threatening attitude, a blind situation with the threat of deportation. Senior people are very good at creating such a situation pressure. The goal is to observe my reaction. That inevitably leads to the question, why? Ed Roth-Taylor is just a student with aristocratic blood. He does not promote magical talent, nor excellent in writing exams. In Sylvania, even the so-called noble lineage is just a strange business card. This place is all aristocratic and wealthy children, even princesses among students. For Ed Roth-Taylor, a normal student, that valuable time is only half to chat separately. There is very little capabilities. I sighed in my heart. I want to express my gratitude to Princess Phenia. Take care of your people even in terms of education, and always pay attention to small things. A comment given randomly. Discussing deportation, then suddenly mentioning the princess in a conversation about something completely unrelated. It seems ridiculous. Suddenly, what is this absurd? Why does that story appear at this time? A certain reaction must occur. What are you saying? But then a small wrinkle appeared for a moment. Despite being short, I caught that reaction. What do you mean? However, the opponent held the position of the highest director of more than 5 years, less than a second that restored the cold-hearted face. But that short moment was enough to realize the truth. As expected. If a position can investigate me related to the highest principal, only the Principal Abel, Vice Principal Reina and Princess Phinia can be candidates. Principal or Vice Principal, whom I have no real interaction, there is no reason to challenge me. On the other hand, the case of Princess Phinia seems to be much more reasonable. Even in a place that values educational value than social status, the words of the princess cannot be ignored. This is the characteristic of Princess Phinia. She could send the soldiers to take me in, tied me and asked, if you don't want to be deported, confess everything about yourself. Perhaps she thought that doing so would not express my true intentions. Or maybe she thinks that such barbaric and coercive methods are not her style and meaningless. Probably both. Looking at the results, it is the right decision. Being tied and interrogated, I would not confess that I was really haunted, telling them that I was a separate entity to the person called Ed Roth Taylor. Who wants being treated like a crazy person unnecessary? Surely she will learn other methods. No, I missed. I'm sorry. Ha ha. I'm so stupid. I'm just worried, ha 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 ha. I stammered in an uncomfortable way, scratching my head with a fake embarrassment. I laughed silly, but the eyes of Dean McDowell, who had previously looked at me, even more sharp. He is quite sensitive. He saw through his efforts to judge him. Oh no, it seems that the push and pull has gone too far. I am just, consider what the correct answer may be. I decided to keep moving forward. I wonder why he summoned a student like me to evaluate my value. What could be right? I know that the expulsion is only formal. I raised it as a premise. It implies that I understand a little about his intention, without saying it. If the other party oppresses and is tyrannical, it will have the opposite effect. They may be offended by suggestions. But I know this about Dean McDowell, in terms of that, he is not too competent. To be honest, I believe my actions are wrong, but I don't think they are so wrong to be expelled. If someone rummages the school's internal rules, they will find enough reasons to justify the chase. The rules and regulations are always vague and can interpret in many ways, right? That's why there is a disciplinary committee and why students are accused of being given the opportunity to say. I decided to give a response to the principal. Then I have no choice but to make the most of the opportunity to be given to myself. I have to convince the discipline committee as much as I can, publish notice throughout the school and try to convince my friends. I will have to appeal this injustice that I have to suffer. For the academy, this script will be a headache. Are you threatening me now? No. I am very serious. I said with trust. After all, it is absurd when a student is facing the repeated school to threaten the highest principal. If they are determined to chase me, they may ignore these small disagreements. It may be noisy and troublesome for a while, but that's it. After all, there is very little possibility that any student is on Ed Roth Taylor's side. I will do everything in my ability. If I was expelled from school, then just go. But being expelled from school without doing anything will definitely make me regret later. After saying that, I took a sip of tea that the secretary brought. Is this the correct answer? Like an exchange when wearing a mask. I am sure the other side. Silence for a while. McDowell stared at me with his chin leaning on his hand, and finally spoke again. Princess Phinia made some mysterious comments about him. Now, I can partly sympathize with what she said. A private conversation reveals deep understanding the personality of others, a gift that seems to be inherited from the princess who cares about me. Although we are not mentioned clearly, we both know the truth. You are as cunning as foxes, but not blame. If you say that way, it seems that I am doing something bad, right? Compared to other students who became worried when introduced here, he was very calm. Am I too calm? That thought flew in my mind. Even when it was a wrong step, it was too late to withdraw. Anyway, you can leave. Regardless of whether your answer is right or not, I will still keep my decision. So what about the deportation? When I asked, Dean McDowell giggled. This was the first sincere reaction I saw from him. You are really ingenious. I have never intended to deport. You have seen this truth, right? His way of expressing his round is now the McDowell I know. Asterisk. It was almost. When I added firewood to the campfire, I breathed a sigh of relief. I am not sure about what happened, but I felt it could be an important turning point for my future actions. Although I said that, a wrong answer could really take me my head. Glancing at McDowell when he went out, the silhouette was comfortable and smiling that disappeared, and he returned to his pensive, serious look. He is seriously evaluating me. He is the person I can't despise. Anyway, everything is all ready, and all I can do is focus on what I have to do. New completed item. A temporary clothes drying press, made of rudimentary wood to dry clothes or food. The racks are not sure enough to withstand too much weight. The difficulty of creativity, completing creativity. The manufacturing skills have increased. Wiping the sweat on the forehead, I looked at the completed drying press, and it brings good news. I feel that I need to check my life skills. With all the excitement and busy, I have not had the opportunity to check my level in detail. Detailed life skills. Grade, new craftsman in the profession. Professional, carpenter. Skillful hands LV10, LV2 design, ability to collect LV3, LV7 carpenter, fishing LV3, cooking LV4. The level of proficiency 10 in skillful hands. Skillful hands are the basic skill for all life skills and are most closely related to the overall skillful index. As the skillful level of hands increases, the growth rate of other skills also increases significantly. Moreover, reaching level 10 skills is quite important. That means basically you have mastered the basic things of that skill. When reaching proficiency 10, the experience needed to advance to the next level will increase significantly. Now it is necessary to have an appropriate investment. I collapsed on a flat rock, surrendered to the heat of the campfire. Compared to the sofa in the principal's room, it was uncomfortable and cold. But since I came to this world, I felt that this rock was completely suitable for my butt. Sitting comfortably in my familiar camp, I spread and hold my hands in front of me. Indeed, maybe he shouldn't be born in a noble family. Compared to fighting and magic, life skills seem to grow rapidly. The congenital talent does not mean anything without the support environment. If he is pampered like a noble, these possibilities will be wasted. Yes, manufacturing or cooking, even repairing can be considered inferior to his position. With his position, there is no other way. However, after all of these efforts, I felt like I created a living environment. My camp, built by myself, became dear to me, although it seemed homeless when compared to Sylvania's excellent facilities at Ophelius Hall. And because I had a party at the opening ceremony, hunger was not a problem. It seems that I can fall asleep like this. But I can't let myself fall asleep. The ceremony took place briefly, leaving a lot of time. And unlike the hurry to avoid being late in the morning, I leisurely walked home and still had energy. I picked up a few books scattered on the lawn. Instead of sleeping, I was about to read before it was dark. These books are from the professor's library, about many types of trees and wild herbs. Knowledge is synonymous with survival. When my ability to distinguish my eating plants is improved, so is my diet options. It would be great to make a desk or reading prize. I will try this weekend. With that thought, I lay down to a temporary shelter of wood and opened a book. 10 seconds later, I fell asleep, almost unconscious. In the end, I was a bit tired. Asterisk. In a corner of the professor building, the office of the head of the magician McDowell is still quiet. McDowell leaned his chin on his hand, sitting on the receptionist for a long time after Ed Roth-Taylor left. Although there was a mountain of papers that needed to be resolved, he still stood still, immersed in thinking. The secretary of the dean, who was arranging documents, sighed softly so that McDowell did not pay attention. It has been a long time since McDowell was in such a deep dreamy state without doing anything. Of course, the work is piled up, and the secretary's leave license is usually not granted on time. It seems that one more day has passed without scheduled, and when she realized that, the secretary continued to delay. As you know, the game usually takes place from the perspective of the main character, so there is not much work for a person like me, who fell and left the stage, doing. However, it is good that I have gone through the perspective of the main character many times. If I think about the time and schedule of the academy, I can briefly guess the happening events. Therefore, there is no need to feel lost. Hopefully, do not know what the academy is in any situation or what is happening. Actually, that is somewhat comforted. I even discovered what I had never known while always progressing from Taylor's perspective, the main character. For example, the method of conducting the curriculum at the Faculty of Magic. Taylor, dubbed the Failure, belongs to the Faculty of Fighting, so there is no way to know the lives of students in the Faculty of Magic. Similarly, things that happen outside Taylor's activities are not known. The new buildings and statues were built under the auspices of Lord L. Kim Nu, or the small royal defense team giving at the entrance to the scientific building to protect Phenia, the Princess of Compassion. Such things are outside the main stage but clearly show that a world is still turning. This brings a refreshing feeling to me. Even when playing Sylvania's Failure, there are many incidents that their consequences make me curious, although they are not disclosed directly. There is too much to count, but if I have to choose one then, yes, it will be Yennefer Lover. As the last boss of the first stage, her story about falling into the fangs of high-level dark souls, Robespierre, is not taken much seriously. Officially, she is the last boss of the first stage, but the boss is really the right arm of the Glaskin senior dark soul, whom she summoned. However, the senior dark souls are known to descend through the darkness inside or the pessimistic thoughts of a magician. Although it is not uncommon for seeing the darkness in the heart of anyone, whether big or small. Yennefer Lover seems to be completely separate from the darkness. I know her brightness is natural, and her vivacious is innate. What can make Yennefer Lover fall into the fangs of a senior dark soul? Of course, I don't have free time to worry about that. Anyway, Taylor will take care of Glaskin's right arm, who took over the student council building. Too hard. About 10 days have passed since the school reopened. Just like this, will I really die? When twilight, I was resting on a wooden chair near the building. Suddenly, a moment of enlightenment came to me without notice. My daily habits since the school reopened as follows: waking up before the dawn, bathing my body in the stream to ensure no smell, clean every corner. I wear everyday clothes, washing every day, and jogging from the northern forest to the scientific building. When I arrived, I was sweaty, so I sneaked into the toilet of the scientific building in Gluck Hall to bathe again. After that, I changed my uniform, hid my daily clothes in the bush in the scientific building to get back after school. After that, I went to the classroom building where the classroom was held. From this point, I started to encounter many children of good nobles and students, so I had to be careful to behave properly. My reputation in the academy is at the lowest level, so I have to endure all kinds of rumors when I appear. Recently, it was strange to not hear such bad words behind him. I was even accustomed to being treated as an invisible person in many classrooms. At lunchtime, I could not afford to eat in the luxurious Ophelius Hall or the canteen of the Student Council building, so I brought canned lunch. Basically, it is a wild diet that I have prepared from the camp. Recently, I have made good use of salted beef with salted salt. I dried the salt on the temporary drying rack for about 3 days and turned out to be a delicious beef. It is easy to carry, help you full stomach and even improve my cooking skills. After being almost satisfied with hunger, I ended the afternoon classes as an invisible person and then after school. I took my daily clothes hidden among the rose bushes and set out to the northern forest. If I left at sunset, I would arrive when it was dark. I decided to jog back to train endurance, but after starting the practice lessons used to use magic directly, I was too exhausted so I just walked slowly. When I returned to the camp, I first washed my sweat daily. They need to be dried to use the next day. I also checked my uniform to make sure they were always clean and well groomed. I checked if any parts were dirty or torn, and if I found it, I would patch them with only other fabrics. After quickly completing the clothes check, it is time to perform the tasks of the day, may change. If I am going to the herb or medicinal plants, I will go to pick. I will check the status of prepared wood. If the meat store in the cave is about to end, I will hunt. Although the use of hook or spear is temporarily easier, but considering the future, I forced myself to hunt by the supply to improve the level. If the hunting yield in the day is too poor, I will use other methods because I need to survive. When it was completely dark, I lit a campfire to light up. It's time to do homework. I use a whiteboard as a temporary desk to review the practice exercises during the day. The fields require writing, such as magic history or elemental research, my strength. Fortunately, my brain seems to work well. It's been a long time since I held a pen, but I had experienced the storm of a college entrance exam. Congratulations to Korean private education fever. I remember by scribbling on the board with a small stick covered with ash, and the book was borrowed from the student library. I cannot afford to use pens, ink, or personal books. When the moon reached its peak, I practiced magic alone. My goal: I reach level 10 proficiency in basic elemental magic. The second-year curriculum of the Faculty of Faculty has assumed an intermediate magic, so the struggle with the basic magic is meaningless. However, because I was practicing magic, it was better to practice, so I used the wind blade to trim the tree and the magic of fire to adjust the pink coal of the campfire. When the drowsiness struck, it was not time to sleep. There is still a habit before bed need to do it. I checked if there was any disability in a temporary wooden shelter, added firewood to ensure the campfire fire all night and review the number of dried meat for lunch tomorrow. If the water tank is shallow, I need to fill it again. After that, after I recalled the schedule of tomorrow to plan for the whole day, I filled the campfire smoke into the shelter to ward off the insects before ventilation and lying down to sleep. With that money, I can sleep for about 4 hours. Fortunately, I am the type of person who does not sleep, no matter how tired. This has helped me adapt quickly during the military service. This is my habit for about 10 days and my body screamed for myalgia. Even sitting on this wooden bench under the red sky is a small change compared to the habit. There is a mountain of missions waiting at the camp. Maybe I should move the camp closer. I thought, then shook my head. It is not worth establishing accommodation in the living area of other students. Moreover, this long distance is also a physical training. No need to weaken my determination. Ugh, so tired. I tried to get up and continue on the road. What can I do when I have reincarnated into this body? This difficulty level is to accept. Certainly, the brighter days will come. However, there are still positive things. When I crossed the northern forest, I realized that after about 10 days of maintaining this lifestyle somehow, I became quite confident in its sustainability. It is extremely difficult and highly demanding, but somehow can still be managed. The life of a second-year student at the Faculty of Technology turned out to be peaceful and calm than I thought. Disregard and gossip everywhere I came to become what I accepted. What can I do? Not because of me, but Ed Roth-Taylor has built a quite disadvantageous reputation. However, it must be better than a freshman. It is a real chaotic place, with accidents that happen continuously in a dramatic adventure film. If it was the beginning of the semester, events such as Zix the natural spear exploded the experimental hall or slothful Lucy of the principal's electric shock with lightning miracles will take place. The first practical lesson that students from fighting faculties, Magic and Fake Kim together face the evil races must take place. It is time for the main character Taily and other main characters to start interacting. However, in the backstage, a peaceful and normal daily life continues to continue. From this perspective, it was not bad. Even this harsh and highly demand lifestyle will become familiar with repetition. I just need to maintain my life, separate from the main characters, graduate, and say goodbye when the crisis of the school occurs. It is not the school will collapse without me, challenges will be solved by themselves without my intervention. Considering this, it seems that I have started in the right direction. There is no reason for despair. As usual, the main variable is Yenikafa lover. Hello. What are you eating? Dried meat. Good morning. What is your next class? Did you study the element? Do you want to eat in canteen? Over the past 10 days, the warm greetings of Yenika every time we meet at the scientific building have not changed. Naturally, her two close friends will appear, embarrassed to pull her away, and disappear as before. This is not part of the plan. There is no reason for her to care about me like that. There was definitely a mistake, or something I didn't realize. It's fine. When I looked through the branches in the forest at twilight, my camp, now comfortable at home, appeared before my eyes. It was a long journey to return home. I said this before, but in this world fluently following the original story, I was an unusual. If I became a variable upside down the flow of the world, I would lose the advantage of knowing in the future. Therefore, maintaining a certain gap with important figures of the world is right. Although it is difficult to force a close relationship with difficulties, it is easy to keep the distance. I can do it. Somehow, the enlightenment that surged in my heart would settle some part, and instead, hopefully I could do it well. Somehow, everything will be okay. Maintaining the appropriate distance is what I have practiced a lot in social life. It's okay, I can do it. With my heart full of hope, I walked into the camp to continue striving for another day. ZZZZZZ. It was when I found a girl curled up and slept inside my temporary shelter. The witch hat covered her neck so wide that she almost covered her face, and a completely indifferent sigh that she emitted when breathing immediately revealed her identity. I sat down on the bench, put my hand on my face. Sigh. It was a deep sigh from the inside. Why, she sleeps here. Although we have never met, I can't help but know who she is. This girl is a character that plays an important role from the beginning to the end of the script Sylvania's failure scenario, with the presence equivalent to 4 main heroic female. It is difficult to judge only by appearance. The girl seems this infinite laziness is one of the most noticeable troubles. Why is she sleeping here like this? I looked around my camp for a while. The northern forest of Akan Island, a deep place, no one visited. But for this genius girl, the person who can perform a natural walk like breathing, this depth is nothing. Her movement range is like a wild cat. Thanks to the skill of moving through magic, she can go anywhere from the top of the clock tower to the roof of Gluck Hall, anywhere beautiful and sunny to take a nap. So, where is this place? This place is separate, far from academic buildings, has a pleasant breeze, the sound of streams and luck. There is a shelter with a roof. There is no better place to skip school and take a nap. I did this myself. Alas. By the time I uttered, it was just a meaningless monologue. Hearing Lucy Lazy talking while sleeping, softly like whispering, I covered my eyes and sat silent for a while. It may be a bit unsuitable when comparing people with animals, but sometimes when I look at Yenikafaya lover, I can't help but think of a nourished dog with a lot of contact with people. When you see a dog waving tail as if it was happy to see people in the world, didn't you feel the urge to want to hug him and stroke his head? Perhaps the other students think the same because whenever I see Yenika in the corridor or classroom, she is always carried by some girls in the classroom. And if I approached her within 3 meters, I would suffer the glare as if trying to devour me, worry that somehow I would negatively affect our precious Yenika. If Yenika is like such a sociable dog, then Lucy Peril can be compared to a wild cat. Her breathing could sound like a sputter, and the scene where she hugged her knees and sleep could make someone remember a cat, but this was not just in appearance. A wild cat never let me be dominated. They rarely show acts of flirting or enthusiastic communication with passers-by, the most, that's what I observed from the wild cats that I have seen throughout my life. Wild cats have adapted to the back alleys of civilization, living in their own rules. They can wander on shabby streets, but they always behave like royal, solemn in walking even when their coat is dirty. It is not arrogant or outstanding feeling, it is only their nature from the beginning. Lucy Peril is also such a person from the beginning. Ha ha ha. She spread her arms wide and lifted up her body. It has been about 30 minutes since I returned to the camp and found Lucy Peril. As for me, I was immersed in thinking, stroking my chin and wondering what to do with her. The sun is converted and the high sky of spring has been shadow evening from the east invade. Lucy Peril sat there with her sleepy eyes, her tough curls sticking to her cheek. What is the first thing she said when waking up in other people's homes? I'm hungry. Just like that, a girl has the ability to hit your head with her words. At that moment, Lucy's eyes finally touched my eyes. I sat there for a long time, leaning on a rock near the fireplace, my chin leaned on my hand. In such a situation, most girls will gasp or be ashamed, but this is Lucy Peril that we are talking about. 100 points above, maybe 90 points. I stood still and only observed. The leaves form a beautiful roof, so that the sunlight will pass. The breeze blows in cool, and feels great. I just lay down and fell asleep immediately. It seems that my camp has been officially ranked by Lucy Peril as one of the 3 best places to take a nap at Sylvania Academy. But because the floor is only full of clothes and furniture, I have to lie on my stomach. It will be better if it is softer, but anyway, the sunlight is also very pleasant. And the sound of water flowing in the stream is also great. And she continued to chatter with an emotionless face, her face seemed to be sparkling with contentment. I even saw something convincing here. Lucy Peril then stood up and stretched his shoulders again. My wooden shelter has become more spacious after many reinforcement, but that space is larger than the height, with the ceiling that is only on my shoulder tall, I cannot even stand up inside. Observing Lucy stretched in such a narrow space emphasized the difference in our physique. She is really a small girl, even her uniform, the smallest, also looks baggy in her sleeve. Shortly thereafter, the sound of boiling stomach emanated from Lucy. And then, she rushed out of the shelter. Turning out is really a perfect description. Lucy Peril's movement is like martial arts you see in the movie Martial Arts, combined with mana at your feet to dance, using your small shape to land accurately where she wants to pass the wind and gravity magic, including advanced shock absorption. She moved with the charm of an immortal person, using high-level magic seemed instinctively, not thinking. This piece of dried meat, can I eat it? She landed right above my temporary drying price, where the dried meat is marinated with beautifully displayed. I remained silent until now. I want to avoid contact with this girl as much as possible. Lucy Lazy, a legendary genius from students to professors, even Principal Abel of Sylvania Academy reluctantly recognized. In the scenario of Sylvania's disgraced sword saint, she acted as an important support figure, and until the end, she was like a giant wall. There is a specific route that you can fight with slothful Lucy, and even maximized capabilities like sphere mind, allowing you to glance at the opponent's index, nor does it reveal her true ability. From there, I can understand the developer's intention. She was not born to be defeated. You can eat. When I allowed it, Lucy took a piece of dried meat, bit a piece and winced when tasting. Wow, I am too. However, expressionless with her grimacing face, she curiously bit the piece of dried meat again. Continuing to contemplate the salty pieces, she eventually seemed to like their salty taste and eagerly pointed to another piece. Can I take one more? Sure. And just like that, she sat down on the drying rack, swayed and enjoyed the taste of dried meat. Although at first she was uncomfortable because of her salty taste, but she quickly immersed in complete satisfaction. What is this feeling in me? It was a feeling of satisfaction, like feeding a small mammal to eat. Is this a way to become a cat-loving? This can be addictive. I shook my head fiercely. Come, it's Lucy Peril. She is a key character who plays an important role in this Sylvania's disgraced sword saint script. Any participation will not bring good things. Yes, she must be kicked away. I have to focus on taking her out smoothly and there is no obstacle. At first the taste was so salty, but now that was what I liked. It is very stimulating. At that time I understood. As the unknown genius of the freshman students, it is clear that Lucy Peril will be residing in Ophelius Hall, which is only for those with the highest score or the noble status. Ophelius Hall's student cafeteria is served by the best chefs of the kingdom, providing the top dishes every day. Naturally, her taste buds will be quite developed, if not very regal. However, there are flavors that even luxurious restaurants cannot grasp. Spicy, salty, sweet, the flavors are not in the premium dishes, which focus on fresh ingredients, harmonious flavors and balanced nutrition. A world beyond the gourmet with a sense of health, where spices dominate everything. Such illegal temptations are the whisper of the devil for those who only know the healthy and sophisticated cuisine. Can I get all these things? Or not? That is beyond the limit. It was my lunch, demon. Oh. Although she seems a bit sad, it is true, I depend on these items to survive. For her, it's just a snack, but for me, it really maintains life. She may just need to go back and enjoy lavish meals at Ophelius Hall. By the way, an idea suddenly came to my mind. Lucy Peril was extremely indifferent to no one in this academy. Whether it is Princess Fina Howe, Kim Lord L, or the notorious Professor Glast, everyone becomes equal in Lucy's eyes without flinching. But one thing that can control Lucy is unpredictable, and this. The servants in Ophelius Hall are looking for her. Her face was pale as soon as she heard me speak, and her disturbing legs suddenly stopped. After that, she quickly ran back to the shelter to get her wide-brimmed witch hat. You know, I think I have to go. All right, it's hard. I will come back. Please don't do that. Never. But before I left, she had a message for you. I wasted too much time to be convinced by Lucy. I started classifying laundry to wash clothes that I will wear the next day. Lucy pointed to the forest. What's wrong? Looking at her direction, only seeing the lush forest. Just keep the eye on that wolf, as big as a house. It has watched. Feeling of the chill ran along my spine for a moment. Because there was no chance to practice properly about spiritual awareness, I still had invisible realms for me. Someday, be sure to save Yenica. With that calm implication, Lucy Peril disappeared towards Ophelius Hall. I slowly turned my head to look at the place she had just before in the forest. Filling the gap between the dense trees, I just heard the cricket sound. There is nothing else in sight. Asterisk. Attention! There will be combined combat classes for first year and second year students. Basic and advanced combat classmen at Neil Hall General Combat Training Facility must check the list distributed to their groups. Note that the students of the fake Kim Thu 8th. The class participating in the class is very low. Although the experiments of fake metallic narrative are very important, try to participate in common classes. Assistant Professor Practice Battle, Claire Elfin. The next day. In the second year student meeting at the Student Council building, the notice was broadcast. It was time for the combat class combined between the first and second year. The progress takes place quite quickly. This event is thought to be when Yennekefa Lover first appeared in the game. That means Lord L female Kim Lord L and Princess of Fenia Compassion will begin to have opposition stance due to different views. The story of the second year student politics is separate from the battle of monsters being formed right there. This is another important variable in this world that needs to be observed carefully. In addition to occasionally hearing rumors or deduction in time, my location is a step away from the stage light that requires closely monitoring. It is essential to witness how everything is happening. Suppose the main character Taylor is on one side then the other, making choices at important junctions. It will be necessary to evaluate the direction that the world will tilt. Anyway, I could not see Taylor at the previous admissions ceremony because I was called to meet with the principal. This common combat layer will allow me to have a glimpse of all the main characters of the first year. This is an opportunity to confirm that everything is happening the official story without any major deviations. With the stiff shoulders after a night of grinding the arrow, I walked out of the student council building. Despite the continuous hell days, people are really adaptable creatures. I can feel my body is getting used to that. If my physical indicators can show some significant improvements, it is great. However, everything will be okay. I have the ability to maintain such hope. The general battle classes of the first and second year seem to be a fleeting event, but in reality, they play an important role in the whole story. Because this is the event that the main character, Taylor, for the first time holding the sword. Until now, Taylor still follows the teaching program of Combat Division, learning martial arts, but suddenly, he holds the sword and knocks down the lightning of slothful Lucy. Taylor was born with the talent of a sword saint. For Taylor, the person who only trained in fighting hands did not recognize this talent. It became a turning point in life. Of course, Taylor is not the opponent of Lucy Peril with his untreated talent. He succeeded in counter-attacking one of Lucy's lightning attacks, but was overwhelmed and fell by an intermediary lightning magic that Lucy was confused for a moment when he accidentally recited the mantra. As a result, Lucy was eliminated for violating the rule that it was only possible to use basic elemental magic. This became a catalyst for Taylor to realize his talent as a holy sword, and his name began to spread among the first-year students. In the end, it was true that he had tolerated a formidable Lucy Peril, and although it was eliminated, he defeated her. There is no significant change, so everything is still normal, right? It was a rare weekend. It is an opportunity to complete the work that cannot be solved on weekdays when the class is taking place. The food situation has become quite comfortable. Not only does his hunting effect improve by practice, but the key is to learn how to set traps. New creativity. The noose trap. A trap is set by tying a rope to be taken from the Olin construction site into an elastic branch. It is effective to catch small animals. Difficulties. Your manufacturing ability has increased. It was in a hurry according to the instructions for survival borrowed from the student library, but the results were better than expected. My level of carpentry has nearly reached level 10. Most importantly, the effective time is very good. While I was studying, the traps I erected not only disappeared, allowing me to use time much more effectively. After school, I just need to collect wild animals hanging on the tree where I set the trap. From small creatures like squirrels and rabbits to detoxification occasionally when catching something like panda, even though often the rope will be broken or the dry meat used as a bait will disappear keep traces. However, if you think about setting up traps is the only job that requires a lot of effort, the benefits seem to be much bigger. Once the hunting and trap systems to get food are set up, I can ensure enough meat for myself. Instead of the hunt, the work involved in the processing of hunting meat becomes heavier. But it was a happy issue. In addition to hunting, after going back to school, I was able to significantly improve my living standard. Despite being limited at the manufacturing level because the material can only be collected in the forest, but by collecting items that are removed from the construction sites and classrooms of Sylvania Academy, I can get materials that I cannot find in the forest. Especially now, when the Academy is expanding a number of buildings under the auspices of Kim Nu, Lord L. As a result, there are quite a lot of construction sites on the outskirts of the Academy, and hiding around them allows me to collect many different materials. Thanks to that, I have collected a lot of excess wood, rusty nails, and ropes left with an awkward length. But the biggest discovery was a handheld axe. The happy sound of cutting firewood echoed throughout the forest. I am using the tree I have cut as a desk. The handheld axe, given by the construction workers for me because they no longer use it due to worn, is the best finding this month. Thank you. Brave workers. Tears are overflowing. Phew, really hard. After cutting the wooden pieces into large pieces of axes, I used my hand axe to split them vertically. Using the basic wind blade magic, you cannot gather enough strength to cut off a whole tree. So, until now, I have to use any branches I have found in the forest to the campfire. It is not effective because they have many different sizes and are often wet. However, with the appropriate firewood, it is possible to achieve great effect in controlling fire. That damn bonfire was just pain. It is necessary to maintain the temperature during sleep and prevent wildlife from reaching near the camp. Fire must be kept fire at all times. But those small flames did not last long, they often turn off in the middle, causing the shelter to be filled with smoke. Sleeping a few hours a day is too difficult, and that is worse. Looking at the wood, I feel secure. I dried about 50 wooden pieces next to the camp. The tightening of them is very hard, but feels worth it when completed. If only I could split them with wind blade. But then, my mana will be exhausted before going half the way. However, once the remaining humidity in the wood evaporates, it will become an effective and good fuel. Oh, look at this sweat. My daily clothes were soaked in sweat. On weekends, I washed my clothes twice a day. Whether it is to pick herbs and plants that can be eaten, hunted, refined necessities or check the camp, every moment of life is just a series of aerobic exercises, not every day without sweating. I decided to go to the stream to wash away sweat. It was not far away, only a few dozen meters, but at a glance at the army camp in sight, I felt comfortable. Seeing the appearance of the soldier camp was improved day by day brings a hard-to-explain pride. However, recently, I often saw uninvited guests. The scene of Lucy sleeping lazily on a flat rock on the banks of the stream made me sigh again. Since I met Lucy Peril at my camp, she often went to my camp without notice to take a nap. There is no specific pattern for her visit, it seems she stopped when she wanted after walking around the academy. Hello. Although we didn't know each other much, we still greeted each other whenever we met, and she often took a nap at my house, then woke up as if nothing had happened and voluntarily left. I don't want to be too close to someone like Lucy Peril, but after a few days, I no longer care. Lucy Peril's visit is like a natural disaster. Today is the weekend and I'm busy with work. I cannot waste energy into chasing a wild cat. It is not she causes any great harm. She just laid out and slept, sometimes stole 1 or 2 pieces of dried meat, and left when it came. Just think of her as a background or screen. After leaving her alone, she began to expand her territory from my camp, sleeping in the sun on the nearby branch or on the rocks on the banks of the stream. She seems to like this stream. Recently, after I dried and spreads the traps of the ferrets and squirrels inside her shelter, she commented that they were very comfortable because they were very soft. Do I really feel like I am raising a wild cat? Zzz. Zzz. Ignoring Lucy, the person who was freely lying on the rock, I went to wash my face in the stream. My reflection in the country looks completely exhausted by cutting firewood. I am about to dip in cool water. After that, I realized that I have not checked my statistics recently. Oh. What is this? Lucy, startled by my sudden outbreak, rolled off the rock and fell to the ground. Asterisk name, Ed Roth Taylor. Gender, male. Age, 17. Level, 2. Race, people. Achievement, no. Power 5. Intelligence 5. Skillful 9. Will 7. Luck 6. Detailed fighting ability. Detailed magic ability. Detailed life skills. Skills fake needle details. Hello, Ed. Today you look very fresh. Is there anything fun happening? Yes, that's the case. I diligently improved my carpentry and practiced magic, and my skill and intelligence indicators increased by 1. But the truth is, it is not important. The power index has increased by 2 levels. Do you know what this means? That means finally, after all the efforts, the training force, a path that opened in this damn body that was not for physical strength. From a normal perspective, it is strange that my strength index does not increase after all the limbs I have done throughout the month. However, this body has never been given strength, agility or natural endurance. Despite being trained, there was no change in the index, and my spirit began to oscillate. But now, increased by 2 steps. I passed the wall, constantly hindering my training process, taking me to the next stage. Now I can maintain hope for stable development. How can I not be happy? What? No, nothing. Of course I won't show it to the outside. Lecture on basic research on the element of Professor Hella has just ended and students leave the lecture hall in turn. As usual, Yenica approached me naturally, and although I answered as cold as possible, she still smiled brightly. Hey, Ed. Tomorrow's fighting session. We will fight with first-year students, right? We are divided into the same group. Don't you feel excited to see their faces? It feels strange to be the upper course. Ehehe. It's time to practice. Because this is a mandatory part of the curriculum, I also have to participate. The joint exercise, as the name implies, is a 1-on-1 fighting exercise. Of course, weapons or magic with damage are not really used. Students of the faculty mainly use fake weapons, while students of the Faculty of Magic are only allowed to use the basic elemental magic, while the students of the fake Kimthuate department are not allowed to use strong and recalled drugs. It is not the same group that means cooperating in something, it is like a series of double-handed battle arranged more randomly. Of course, everyone is observed by everyone. Many different scenarios can occur due to completely random pairing. First year compared to the first year, this is an opportunity for first-year students who are inexperienced in showing their skills to the seniors and receive advice. First year compared to the second year, this is a good opportunity to experience the delicate and magical combat ability through a live training between the third and fourth year students. And the second year of fighting with the second year will give the first year the opportunity to see the level of combat they should be aiming for. Basically, the most important thing is to watch the battles together. As far as I know, all the main characters participating in the script participate in this observation class. Because the class is very crowded, everyone from the fighting committees, Magic and Fake Kim participate. Princess of Fenia Compassion, Lord L Female Kim Lord L, Zix Nature Spear, Molly Kian Lin Yenica, Hard Working Emila, Lucy Lazy, Gloomy Cluvius, Romantic Adele. The list is still long. But the most important thing is, Saint Keem defeated Taylor. I quite know all the matches. And even the results, I know everything. Sadly, it is possible to predict, almost all the fights ended with victory for the first years. Although the purpose of the lesson is to create opportunities for the second-year student to teach first-year students, but because the first-year squad is full of powerful students, finally a massacre. Look at Professor Glast applauded. Yes, what can you do? If you are jealous, you should be the main character. However, there was still a second-year student who won against a first-year student with great power. Yenneca Feller over completely overwhelming Lord L female Kim Lord L. As mentioned, she is the last boss of the first stage and appeared for the first time in this practice. Ed, do you want to see it? Yenneca grinned and invited me to join the tournament round. Maybe I should leave and find out later, but suddenly I was curious to know who my opponent was. I am not allowed to exist in this situation. If my participation caused some interruptions in the tournament rankings, what would I do? Most of the first-year people participating in this class play an important role in the script. My general conduct is to keep a certain distance from such main characters, but this time, if I directly confront them, I can't do anything. In the end, the class was held that way. Let me face anyone and solve everything calmly. Let's see. Here. This look. This test. When I saw that I finally had a sincere response, Yenneca enthusiastically introduced the tournament's group. Frankly, there is no significant change. Most matches are as I know, only one exception. Group 13, Ed Roth Taylor against Fenia Elias Clarell. The name is familiar. Oh my god. But seriously, is that too much? Asterisk. The servants of the royal house are busy. Obviously, this trend is starting with new armor accessories that are reserved by the clothing store in the southwest of this island. Products are distributed by ELTE trade company like Fresh Shrimp. However, for Princess Fenia, those facts are not welcomed. The secret motive of the merchant is like that fox, they are too obvious. For Princess Fenia, the person born has the ability to understand the human personality, the inner thoughts of the cunning girl Lord L are particularly annoyed. One of the 3A class students was recognized by Professor Glast in the evaluation test. The only daughter of the Eldka-Helm continental giant, she was a girl born with intelligence and sly wisdom like her father. Despite her polite and tidy appearance, she hid her true nature, which is to see everything on the profit scales. I'm not sure who is the first thought the term butterfly effect, but the idea behind it was really great. The small wind originates from the vibration of a butterfly that can cross the ocean and turn into a storm that sinks buildings on a remote continent. Or this concept is interpreted like that. This is a common phrase used when talking about chaotic theory and how the future control is almost impossible when there are many variables that are happening. They say that even the minimum deviation in the original condition can affect entropy exponentially. No need to complicate the problem. As far as I understand, it is just a seemingly trivial problem that can become an unexpected important result. The key point here seems to be, don't try to control everything in the world, in a rough way. I never thought that I would really experience the weight of that sentence in this general battle training session. Indeed, there is no wrong word in classical sayings. Asterisk. One of the 3 buildings of the Student Council, the Nail Hall, traditionally, is the place where common battle classes take place. The arena in the Roman arena style is well maintained and the seats for the shiny audience, every seat and floor are cleaned. Even the battle training ground reflects the noble elegance that such a prestigious school expects. I sat in the middle of the audience, watching the simulation exercise took place before my eyes. First-year students this year actually participated in the War of Stars. Jews are often found only once or twice a year that has filled the entire class, inevitably attracted the attention of the second-year student. Among them, the trio has received the recognition of Professor Glast, Zix, the user of Nature Spear, Kim Lord L, and Lucy Lazy. The attention of the public fully focuses on 3 new people from the Faculty of Magic. Boom. Thank. It was a valuable experience. Your magic control is especially impressive. I have learned a lot. In the central arena, one of them, Zix, descendants of the northern nomads, just ended a battle using wind magic to push a senior out of the stage. His long curly hair dropped to his neck because of the consequences. I hope to learn from you in the future. And with those polite words, he bowed his head. That guy is definitely not unusual in terms of mind. Zix's opponent, a second-year student of the magic department. What is his name? Mikhail. Anyway, he is being helped by the servants, unable to regain his composure. In the battle training sessions between first-year and second-year students, only basic magic is allowed. However, according to what I see, Zix's ability to use magic seems to be limited to basic things. If he uses more advanced magic, his strength may be much more scary. Murmur among the second-year students. Another victory for the first years. At this rate, no second-year student has a chance. What's wrong with new students? Why so many monsters gather in the same place? The general battle training session, almost a traditional event at this time, had a devastating turning point. The term senior does not make any sense when the 2-year-old people are systematically defeated by first-year people. So much so that the second year is only a display that highlights the capabilities of the first year. Truly a sad situation. The following students please complete the preparation for the practice and go to the waiting room. Lucy Peril, Taylor McClure. The announcement of the long-term battle list has long caused a new wave in the crowd. The moment has come. I adjusted the sitting posture and focused on the stage. The public's attention will of course be poured into the unprecedented genius of Sylvania Academy, Lucy Peril. However, this unexpected situation only acts as a narrative tactics to focus attention on the main character. The really remarkable topic is Taylor McClure, who was born with the fate of a holy sword in this world. He had never held the sword before, but his first swing slashed through Lucy's agile magic. His opponent was stunned for a moment when his expected attack was blocked, allowing Taylor to quickly narrow the gap. Startled, Lucy attacked with an intermediate-level lightning magic, Thunder Strike. While Taylor fell due to a reflex, Lucy used an intermediate magic that made her eliminate, and Taylor won the honor to be the first to beat Lucy Peril in battle. Lucy Peril, complete the preparation and on the battle podium. What a monumental scene. Taylor, who spent his whole life criticized as incompetent, even treated badly in Sylvania, experienced a challenging life, always failed in battle classes and was reprimanded by people like Ed Roth Taylor. Despite everything, Taylor never stopped practicing. His perseverance is about to be paid off. The drama of the play cannot be described, even his childhood friend, Ayla, shed tears when witnessing that scene. Her face was highlighted in a touching scene full of emotion. Lucy Peril, again, prepare to practice and go to the battle podium. Lucy Peril, please go to the podium. Lucy Peril. Where is she? Asterisk. The strange excitement that I felt when Taylor McClure stepped on stage was hard to describe. Although it was the world outside the screen, I lived through his life many times, experiencing everything from the gloomy bad ending to the deep ending. At the same time, I could not help but think of the challenges waiting for Taylor. He was predicted to be a holy sword, but his journey not flat. There was no way in front of him but not full of hardships. So I decided to cheer him. I decided to focus on my life and support this character, who will shoulder all the suffering that Sylvania is about to go through. I will try my best. The warm greeting of Taylor from the stage received encouragement. Yes, it is a applause. The attendees saw that the fate was waiting for the boy who was about to be crushed by Lucy Peril. They did not know the real talent of the boy. This boy stands out more than all the students gathered here today. Knowing my work, I found myself looking forward to the inevitable change in the public. But ignore that, what am I doing at that time? I am pinching Lucy Peril. The location is a sub-platform erected behind the central stage at the Nail Hall. Obviously drifted there in a sleepy time in the general battle class, it was the perfect place to take a nap. Thinking about it would be too obvious if she left the Nail Hall. A deserted place under the podium would be a reasonable choice to take a nap. I just discovered that Lucy was curling down there and slept. Hey, wake up. Get up, it's my turn. After much effort to wake her, Lucy Peril lifted her upper body out of the ground. Roth Taylor is still going to school? Oh my God, he's so persistent. And why is he close to the first-year student? They look close, right? Are they really friends? Isn't it just a guardian? It was funny to see a second-year student suffered the most humiliating failure and a first-year student, the best student to be honored, quarreled and repaired each other's hair. I finished brushing my hair, I was ashamed. After that, there was still half awake, I helped Lucy stood up and adjusted her everyday jacket. I stuffed the hem of a shirt protruding from the skirt, tightening and adjusting her slumped collar. Next, I pulled the socks to her knee and tightened the tie, and she looked quite neat. Aodi's wrist because she did not pay much attention to the size of the uniform and only took anything, could not do anything about that. All right. Yes, yeah. Then go out. Pushing Lucy's back, I saw her off to the arena. Yawning is loud, as if the entire existence is a nuisance. Lucy stood opposite Taylor and start the duel. Boom. With just one attack, she transmitted a primary lightning magic into the middle of Taylor. It seems that it only takes about 0.3 seconds. Asterisk. Taylor McClure's life is always a challenge. A country guy in the countryside and a college student, has never achieved a good score since enrollment, an unknown who has not been recognized by anyone with his childhood friend. When he continued to show his ability to be below the average in everything, even his family began to turn away. Each time on wonder whether to give up everything or not, that moment kept coming back. For Taylor, being admitted to Sylvania is an opportunity to prove himself. It was as if God was smiling at him. Just enough to pass the writing test after a night of cramming, and almost slip the practice test due to the malicious intervention of a senior, if not for the mercy of the princess, allowing him to overcome. Despite the continuous challenges since the beginning of the semester, he always found a way to overcome. Almost lost his life because a monster was accidentally summoned in a classification test, and was shunned by his friends because he was a student who failed, not even let him enter the auditorium during the opening ceremony. But thanks to the continuous support of Ayla and his friend also slipped, Aiden, he persisted. And now it's time to prove. Lucy Peril, a talented prodigy that even the students above and the professor was surprised. Everyone predicted that he would fail and pity him, but Taylor never lost hope. Just a few more efforts are not enough to defeat the opponent. Amidst the mocking laughter of the practitioners, Taylor continued to practice his martial arts all night. Even in this seemingly hopeless moment, Taylor continuously tried to win. And right now, before the response, he was hit by a lightning strike and stuck into the wall of the arena. Well, oh. However, Taylor stood up. Around him, all kinds of weapons such as swords, bow, whip are scattered. Weapons are prepared for students to fight in a corner of the arena, mainly with blunt and improved tongue. Taylor looked at his knuckles, which was attached to his hand, that was the weapon that had been following him for many years. He quietly removed his finger. A feeling like lightning fleeting his mind. Among the scattered weapons, an old wooden sword caught his eye. As if it was attracted, His body moved first, and grabbed the wooden sword on the ground, tailing slowly into his position, although his body was injured. It was the first time in his life to use the sword. His opponent is a magician that is revered by everyone. However, Taili once again stood on his feet, thanks to the beliefs of those who trusted him. He bit his teeth and gripped the sword. He took the sword. When I looked at Taili, I was pinned for a moment. I swallowed my saliva but then gripped my hand tightly as he held the sword. "That's right, just do it. Lucy Peril." Taili called Lucy with a fiery voice. Even me, who is watching from the stands, feels something rising in me. This is that moment. The moment of Taili, who never gave up for the challenges of life and fate that abandoned him, signaling the beginning of the return. The cry of a swordsman who refused to surrender deep in the hearts of all students present. Ha ha. Move extremely flexibly with the person who first held the sword. Mana hidden in the rudimentary wooden sword of Taili. I know what it is. It is an airflow for those born with the fate of a sage sword, capable of cutting through thick mana walls as if they are paper. The audience began to feel overwhelmed. Taili's change makes all students hold their breath. There is a little expectation of a reversal. And then an unexplained wind blows. A strong wind suddenly blew Taili into the air. Boom. Being hit by another lightning blow, Taili was once again forced into the wall. This time it takes about 0.5 seconds. Huh. Asterisk. What a complete shock. The smoke rises, and behind it, Taili completely collapsed. Lucy Peril yawned and rubbed her eyes. Good job. She walked down the stage as if she had just completed a tedious mission with a relieved face. The audience was completely silent until then. Every gaze on her, but as if not important, Lucy jumped at me. She touched my collar with a bewildered face and began to play with it again. Can't I eat dry meat now? And then I realized. The wind magic that Lucy used in the match seemed like a basic wind magic, but she did not do it herself. I realized this magic, designed to break the opponent's movement and create a hole by imbalance. High-class wind spirit, Merylda's covenant skills that you can learn. The blessing of the storm has been activated. Not long, just a few days. Always doze off with an indifferent expression and accidentally made a contract with a strong wind god in that process. Initially, Merylda and Lucy had no relatives in situations. Their path does not intersect. Lucy has almost never had a reason to stay in the northern forest, which is why. But recently, because of my camp situation, they probably have been connected. Therefore, Lucy is now stronger than unnecessary with Merylda's blessing. In any case, no one can imagine a contract with a strong wind god in just a few days. I glanced at Taili. He dropped the sword, sat down, bowed. The vivid light commonly seen in his eyes disappeared. The incredible talent distance is like violence. Once you experience that vast wall, the spirit will be broken immediately. This is serious. I quickly stood up. I can't leave him like that. I pushed Lucy to cling to one side and walked towards Taili, who was desperately walking down the stage. Next in the fighting training course is Ed Roth Taylor and Princess Phenia Elias Clarel, please. Although my name was called, I saw Princess Phenia reformed the appearance in the stands and stood up. When I passed the princess on the way to the arena, her gaze became aggressive when I saw me. Her hostility to me is nothing new. From the princess's point of view, she seemed quite determined about something, but at that time, the dried Phenia princess must be my concern. Ed Roth Taylor. You are the next person. Before the princess finished speaking, I passed her. Taili will disappear completely if I just stand there. Ignoring a princess may be unreasonable, but at least in this study hall, where virtue is placed in social status, I will not be executed. Right now, there is a much more important thing in front of the eyes. The princess was shocked because she was completely ignored, She looked at me, shouting at Taylor's disappearance among the crowd. Hey! Taylor! I'm not sure whether this makes sense, but it's better than standing still. Your effort will be rewarded. Don't be discouraged. Hey! Stand up. You have nothing to be ashamed. If Taylor's spirit was broken and he was in despair, maybe I would suffer from that. I couldn't let things happen like that. Step proudly. You did very well. It's just your opponent too difficult. Don't be discouraged for such a thing. Please, don't give up now. I suffer for you. There are too many problems that are about to happen in this academy. I kept shouting Taylor's supports when he slowly disappeared into the crowd, a sincere plea from his heart.